On the news, Nigeria reopens economy after over 1 month of partial lockdown. Nigeria's poverty level spikes as MBS pegs population at 83 million. And Madagascar to begin coronavirus vaccine trials next week. A warm welcome to News Now. I am Fidalia Aguncha. Lagosians today heaved a sigh of relief as business activities resumed across the state following the gradual easing of the COVID-19 lockdown in Lagos. Traffic was seen building up on roads as residents moved freely across the state for the first time in the past 4 weeks or even more. Our correspondent spoke to some people and got their different reactions. Take a listen.
I count it to be a new era for every individual, even to myself. It's a new experience to what we have passed through. We have known the incident of not working and the business is being paralyzed. But now that everybody is at work, we could see that the business will move and the nation will experience a new change.
It will take a long time, it will take a little time for business to open up. Because most people are still afraid. Somebody cannot jump into what he doesn't know. You understand me? Because if you contact this, now you're going to your family. It's a very dangerous disease, so you have to be careful. Opening right now with the rate of this number of COVID-19, I don't think that is right.
I'm very excited. In fact, I'm very happy that we are back, especially I myself. One, I'm happy because the COVID-19 taught also many experience. Though there's some gain and at the same time there's some losses. The situation forced some of us to change our way by putting a lot of strategy in place. So I feel better, I feel excited that we are back into our feet and the business is also back.
Activities have also picked up in Nigeria's capital city, Abuja, as offices and businesses reopen. Offices and businesses in the capital city have been closed for the past 5 weeks as part of measures to contain the spread of COVID-19. TV360's Tunjioye reports that the workers were actually very excited to resume after such a long break.
Life is gradually returning to Abuja, but definitely not at the pace residents desire it. Only officers at level 14 and above are required to be at work, so the Federal Secretariat is still relatively scanty. Preventive measures are put in place in most of the ministry and offices. Business activities are gradually picking up too. Traders are back to work after the compulsory break. It's been 5 weeks of lockdown in Abuja, 5 weeks of no business, 5 weeks that virtually all commercial activities have been shut down. Today, the people are breathing a fresh air of freedom to move around.
My nature of work requires I work from home. So we miss the usual buzzing and hustling, but then for the safety of all, it's important that we stick by the guidelines.
With all sense of excitement, I could say again, because staying at home for those almost 6 weeks wasn't a usual trend. It's a strange situation we're into right now. And we're happy we've resumed.
Lockdown is not yet over. So the partial resumption is just a sign that there is hope after that the pandemic is just a passing phase in the nation. It's not like other parts of the world where it got them really devastated and even grounded their own economy. I think Nigeria still has hope.
Yes, businesses are still locked down, but a particular business is now booming in Abuja. That is the sale of nose masks. At every strategic location in the city, you will find someone selling a nose mask. Most of the nose marks on sale are locally made, which means some smart Nigerians are making cool money in the production chain.
The need for it was very high and we have shortage of it. And I guess that's what prompted me, because there was need for it and there was no much in the market. People were unable to access face mask. So that was one. And two, I found out that most face masks we have in the market, we find out that they are not durable. After using it once, you have to rebuy. And considering the economy here, you can't keep on buying one face mask at the rate of within 250, 300, 200 per day. You are just using it for once, which is not economical. Since government has made it a mandatory for everybody going around to put on a face mask, I guess there is a market for it for now. Since the trend is there, we take advantage of the trend for now to promote our face mask.
As the lockdown gradually eases off in Abuja, residents are hoping that the lockdown will be fully relaxed so that normal life can return to the FCT. From Abuja, Tunji Oye, TV360 News.
Major banks in the country have not been able to operate fully since President Muhammadu Buhari ordered a lockdown in 3 major states across the country. Well, with a partial easing of that lockdown, commercial banks in Abuja saw a huge influx of customers who sought to perform various transactions. We have more in this next report.
Financial institutions experienced heavy human traffic as banks resumed operation on Monday. Many of the banks had skeletal operations which put pressure on their operation. Many customers lament their inability to make transactions after more than a month of lockdown.
Honestly, it's horrible. I've been here since 8:30. I was not able to access. They did not even allow me to come in. The time is what now? This is after 11, 5 after 11. So everything is, I don't know. I think through Abuja, they said it's only Metama and the 11 that is working. That is why I came here. And since that 8:30 till now, I cannot able to go in, not even to withdraw money. It's horrible.
I'm hungry. I'm hungry since how many days now? No eat. I know nobody to help me. Then I come to back since morning for them to give me my money. They refuse to open back. You can see how we dey here crowded. You understand? And they say we should not gather because of a corona. Look at how we are gathering. Are we safe? Nigerians should help us. Because we don't know anything about this corona. And we don't know where this corona come from.
Been here for more than 2 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we could not have access to the bank because of their strict protocol. And virtually, you know, people have stayed more than 1 month at home. They have no food. They were unable to do transactions. So this is the only opportunity for them to withdraw money. But unfortunately, we don't understand what is happening in the bank.
Some of the banks are to provide a canopy for its customers to sit and relax while giving out numbers that will be used to get into the bank.
Here for the past 3 hours. Just what I came for is to retrieve my ATM. My ATM got lost about a month ago. So I called them, they blocked my account, and they sent me a test that my ATM is ready. I've been here for the past 3 hours for me to pick my ATM. Up to now, look at the number they give me. I'm number 104. And up to now, we don't have access to the bank. They kept us outside, and they look at nothing like social distance here. See everybody crowded here.
I've been here over an hour ago, and what they are doing in the security, at the entrance over there was giving the numbers. I was fortunate to fall in number 79. So I wonder when to get to that. And all the while, 2, 3 people, no more than that, do go inside. So I am surprised about that. I'm coming all the way from my Tama branch.
The situation is the same in almost all the banks in the FCT, while customers appeal to government to relax the lockdown fully for financial institutions to operate maximally. From Abuja, Tunji Oye, TV360 News.
It's been finally confirmed that the novel coronavirus is behind mass deaths in Kano State, northwest Nigeria. National Coordinator of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, Sani Gwazo, confirmed this during a press briefing. The state has recorded an unusual increase in deaths since it recorded its first coronavirus case in April, but Governor Abdullahi Ganduje had denied that the deaths were linked to COVID-19. But briefing journalists on Sunday, Guazo, who led a team of health experts to probe the strange death in the state, said investigations had shown that COVID-19 is responsible for most of them. He said, quote, "Let me inform us that most of the deaths recorded of recent and tests carried out show that coronavirus was the cause," end of quote. Over the weekend, Ganduje partially eased the total lockdown imposed in Kano State by President Muhammadu Buhari to reduce the harsh impact on residents. About 270 Nigerians willing to return home from the United States of America will be evacuated on Sunday. A statement dated May 3rd from the Consulate General of Nigeria in New York says a one-way flight has been arranged for the evacuation of stranded Nigerians in the U.S. According to the statement, flights operated by Ethiopian Airlines with a 270 passenger capacity would evacuate travelers at their expense, and the returnees would fly economy class. It also revealed that over 700 citizens have registered with a Nigerian mission in the U.S. to be evacuated, but only 270 people would be accommodated. Just days after Access Bank announced plans to reduce its workforce by about 75%, the Central Bank of Nigeria and the Bankers Committee have ordered all banks to suspend any such plan. The directive was issued after both parties held a special meeting on May 2nd to review the implications of the COVID-19 pandemic on Nigerian banking industry. The committee, after deliberations, decided that in order to help minimize and mitigate the negative impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on families and livelihood, no bank in Nigeria shall retrench or lay off any staff of any cadre, including full-time or part-time. The World Health Organization, WHO, has partnered with the European Investment Bank, EIB, to address the COVID-19 pandemic and strengthen countries' ability to provide health services to their people. At a briefing over the weekend, WHO Director Gabriel Tedros Jesus said the new cooperation will enable it combat malaria, address antibacterial resistance, and enhance public health in Africa.
The COVID-19 crisis has illustrated that even the most sophisticated health systems have struggled to cope with the pandemic. WHO has grave concerns about the potential impact the virus could have as it starts to accelerate in countries with weaker health systems. With the EIB, we will therefore work urgently to invest in health infrastructure and health workers in 10 countries in Africa and the Middle East to start with. Fourth, EIB and WHO are exploring how the European Investment Bank could support the COVID-19 supply chain system to facilitate the distribution of diagnostics, personal protective equipment, and other medical supplies to countries that need them most. And fifth, we will work together to study market failures in other areas of public health to examine how innovative financing could help overcome investment barriers and increase access to life-saving products and services.
The health body also asked countries and groups to support it as it addressed the pandemic in war-torn countries to mitigate the effects on the vulnerable.
I just want to highlight one particular situation that we've become increasingly concerned with, and that is the rising number of cases in countries affected by fragility, conflict, and with high numbers of vulnerable populations, refugees or displaced populations. Over the last week, a number of weeks, we've seen worrying increases of disease in Haiti, in Somalia, in Sudan, in South Sudan, in Yemen, in Syria, in Afghanistan, in Sierra Leone, in the Central African Republic, and most recently investigating a serious cluster of respiratory disease in adults in Kano in northern Nigeria. We remain deeply concerned about the impact that this disease will have in communities who are already greatly underserved, have many underlying conditions, and it's a real concern for the humanitarian community. And I know Mark Lowcock, the Under-Secretary General for Humanitarian Affairs and the Director General, launched a humanitarian appeal a number of weeks ago now. But there's still a lot of work to do in countries. We need to get sustainable access to all populations in all countries, and we need to be able to deliver essential health services as well as COVID response. I think it's truly important that this happens, because these populations have already suffered too much. And the extra impact of COVID-19 at this point can be avoided if we rush to provide the extra support that's needed for these people who live on all sides of conflict.
Madagascar will begin clinical trials for an Artemisia-based vaccine for the novel coronavirus next week. The country's president, Andry Rajoelina, who made the announcement, urged the Malagasy people to plant Artemisia. Rajoelina said he was in touch with scientists from the US to help with research, and he is pursuing validation from the World Health Organization for a COVID organic drink, which is expected to help prevent the infection. There is currently no cure for the novel coronavirus. In sports, the next swimming world championships scheduled for summer 2021 in Japan have been pushed back until May 2022 following the postponement of the Olympic Games. The World Championships were due to be held in Fukuoka next year from July 16th to August the 1st, but will instead take place from May 13th to the 29th in 2022. This is according to a statement released by the International Swimming Federation. The 2021 Olympic Games were delayed by a year due to the coronavirus pandemic and will now run from July 23rd until August 8th in the year 2021. We'll take a break here to return with more stories. Don't go away. Welcome back. Now, there are over 82.9 million Nigerians living in poverty. In its latest data released on Monday, the National Bureau of Statistics (NBS) said it arrived at the figure following a survey conducted between September 2018 and October 2019. According to the NBS, 40.1% of the Nigerian population is classified as poor because they have a per capita annual consumption expenditure of less than 137,430 naira. The NBS said the poverty headcount rate is highest in Sokoto with 87.73% and lowest in Lagos with 4.5%. President Muhammadu Buhari has commiserated with the families of 3 University of Port Harcourt students who were reportedly murdered by their kidnappers and buried in a shallow grave in April. The president also extended condolences to the university authorities and the River State government over the unfortunate incident. Describing their death as sad and heinous, President Buhari said the Nigeria Police Anti-Kidnapping Unit has apprehended one of the suspected perpetrators, and he has directed the police authorities to intensify search for the remaining suspects and bring them to justice. A former Minister of Special Duties and Intergovernmental Affairs, Taminu Taraki, has pleaded not guilty to the fraud charges preferred against him by the federal government. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, had filed 16 counts of unlawful and criminal misappropriation of funds against the former minister, his aide, and 2 companies before Justice Iang Eko of the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja, the nation's capital. others listed as defendants to the charges include one Samson Okbetu, who served as Taraki's special assistant, as well as Samti Essential Limited and Pasco Investment Limited, which allegedly belonged to Okbetu. Meanwhile, the second defendant, Okbetu, also pleaded not guilty to the fraud charges leveled against him by the federal government. The Federal High Court in Lagos has awarded 1 million naira against the federal government for disrupting the #RevolutionNow protest of August 5th, 2019. The court awarded the sum, that's 1 million naira, in favor of a Lagos-based lawyer, Olukoya Ogungbeje, who said he took part in the Revolution Now protest and was among those tear-gassed by security agents. The nationwide protest was convened by the publisher of Sahara Reporters, Omoyele Sowore, who was arrested by the Department of State Services on August 3rd, 2019. Ruling on the matter, Justice Maureen Onyetenu declared the disruption of the peaceful protest by the federal government through the police as illegal, oppressive, undemocratic and unconstitutional, and a violation of Section 38, 39 and 40 of the 1999 Constitution. Apart from the 1 million naira award, the court also ordered the federal government to tender a public apology to the applicant in 3 national daily newspapers. We'll take a break here and bring you business stories. Don't go away.
Now believe this Koroti. You know if you touch black man. If you like, gather the whole Niger, come together, make the cough. Nothing.
Which one you want?
Give me V&D.
I beg, get small pieces.
How much you want to give him?
Give me 200. Take your change now.
You don't want your change.
My people, this coronavirus, na serious matter. May una wash una hands regularly. Come use alcohol-based hand sanitizer. If you no see water, wash your hand. Oh, make una sit down for house. You see this virus, so e no get leg. Now we dey waka kurukere. No waka around, make the virus for die. No forget, say the betterment of our people. Now for your handy day.
This message is from the Akinfade Foundation in partnership with the National Orientation Agency with support from MacArthur Foundation.
Welcome back. Let's now join Oyin Adekunle to give us updates on the oil market and activities on the Nigeria Stock Exchange and global stock market.
Thank you very much, Fidelia. Oil prices fell on Monday, parrying last week's gains on worries a global oil glut may persist amid slumping demand and U.S.-China trade tensions that could restrict an economic recovery as the coronavirus lockdowns start to ease. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures fell as low as $18.10 a barrel earlier in the session, while Brent crude futures were down 10 cents at $26.34 a barrel, after touching a low of $25.50 per barrel. Global oil market found support last week on signs of reduced infection rates, and as major oil producers led by Saudi Arabia and Russia were set to begin cutting production on May 1st. Also, the top 2 U.S. producers, ExxonMobil and Chevron Corporation, each said they would cut output by 400,000 barrels per day this quarter. We'll take a short break here and return with Stock Market Review. Don't go. There was a slight uptick in trading on the NSE today as economic activities picked up gradually as a result of the ease of COVID-19 lockdowns in Lagos, Ogun, and of course the FCT. Renewed bargain hunting in some large stocks pushed the all-share index up by 0.30%. And despite the number of losers outweighing gainers at 19:15, we see that at the close of the market, at the close of trading activities today, MTN, Adova, Dangote, Sugar, as well as UACN saved the day with a combined increase of 5 naira and 50 kobo. But on the flip side, we see Guinness led the top losers for today, followed by Access Bank, WAPCO and UBA. In summary, moving on now to how the market fared today, we see that nearly 250 million shares worth 2.3 billion naira exchange hands in 6,538 deals. And moving on to international markets, FTSE UK market is slightly up 0.28%. Unfortunately, Nikkei, that's US market, that Dow Jones, I beg your pardon, which is US market, and of course Nikkei, Japanese market, is it was a bearish run today as global stocks are tumbling over escalation of US-China tensions. And that's it from here. Back to you now, Fidelia.
Well, thank you very much, Oyin, for that update. Let's now move to the foreign scene. More than 100 suspected migrants have attempted to reach the UK from France in the past 24 hours. The French Public Service patrol ship Comoran has intercepted several boats containing men, women and children. Some were stopped in France, others just off the French coast near Cap Grise and in UK waters. The occupants and their boat were taken to border police in Boulogne. The Home official said the migrants were being interviewed by immigration officials as criminals are abusing vulnerable men, women and children by trafficking them across the Channel. Leicester City midfielder Wilfred Ndidi is on the radar of League One champions Paris Saint-Germain. ESPN reports that the Qatari-owned club is reportedly willing to pay around 45 to 50 million euros for the 23-year-old who is contracted to Leicester until 2024. Ndidi arrived in Leicester from KRC Genk in January 2017 and has established himself as one of the best midfielders in the English Premier League over the last couple of years. He has scored 8 goals in 130 appearances for Leicester, including 2 goals in 29 games in the current campaign. And that's it on News Now. Many thanks for watching.